What's the best way to lose weight? By making just small incremental changes or making big dramatic changes that hopefully will protect you against weight gain in the future? That's an interesting question that a new study looked to answer and kind of came up with some pretty unremarkable results. Let's take a look at these details because I think it can help us frame how we approach weight loss and behavioral changes. I'm Dr. Brett Scher, the medical director at DietDoctor.com, and the study I want to talk about is called A Small Change Approach to Prevent Long-Term Weight Gain in Adults with Overweight and Obesity, a randomized controlled trial that was published in the Canadian Medical Association Journal. Now, actually, before talking about this trial, the setup trial for this, or at least the way they describe it, is what was called the SNAP trial. The official title is Innovative Self-Regulation Strategies, Reduce Weight Gain in Young Adults, the Study of Novel Approaches to Weight Gain Prevention Randomized Controlled Trial, which was published back in 2017. Now, this was 600 young adults, okay, so very important, young adults who are not obese, did not have type 2 diabetes, did not have a lot of comorbidities. Their average BMI was 27, so overweight by BMI criteria, but definitely not obese. And they had three groups, either a control group, a small change group, which they were instructed to reduce their calories by 100 kilocalories per day and to increase their steps by 2,000 steps per day, or what they called the large change group. That was, they tried to have them lose 5 to 10 pounds over 4 months, as they worded it, to protect against weight gain. And what they did was reduce their daily intake by 500 to 1,000 kilocalories per day and exercise 250 minutes per week. And that was for 8 weeks. And then they didn't really describe what happens after the 8 weeks, but then I guess they sort of went back to the control group. But the question was, could this intensive period protect against weight gain? And what they found was interesting with compliance. 64% were compliant with the large changes, 75% were compliant with the small changes. At 4 months, there was a significant weight loss. 0.6 kilograms for the control, 1.4 kilograms for the small change, and 3.6 kilograms for the large change. Okay, so makes sense that they would have done better. But the way the main outcome was the average weight change over 3 years. And that still was significant, of 2.1 kilograms for the large change group, only 0.5 kilogram for the small change group, and a weight gain of 0.2 kilograms for the control group. But here's what's interesting is the average weight change over 3 years. It wasn't looking at where they started and where they ended, because looking at the graph, they didn't really report that data as far as I can say, but looking at the graph of where they started and where they ended, on average, it was less than a kilogram of weight loss. So pretty unimpressive for that too, but it was sort of interpreted as small changes can make a difference and can protect against weight gain, with really being like 1 or 2 kilograms at most. So I guess for a large scale population, that's okay. But for an individual, most individuals aren't going to be happy with 1 or 2 kilograms. So let's fast forward now to the 2022 study. And what they did here was 320 sedentary, obese, or overweight adults. And the small change was, again, reduction of 100 kilocalories per day or increasing 2,000 steps per day versus the control. And basically at 2 years, there was no difference. It was 1.2 kilograms in the intervention group versus 0.7 kilograms lost in the control group. No difference in the waist size. At 1 year, there was a difference, interestingly. There was 2.5 kilograms lost in the small change group, with the control group at 0.6 kilograms lost. So there was that difference at 1 year, but then it sort of came together at 2 years. Now, interesting conclusion that the control group did much better than expected, right? For a control group to lose 0.7 kilograms over 2 years with no intervention is pretty remarkable, because most control groups will gain weight over time. So that's just, we see that sometimes in studies. Just being part of a study, you pay more attention to your lifestyle, even if you're not being coached on how to do that. But it was, again, underwhelming, 1.2 kilogram weight loss in 2 years with making these small changes. So how do we interpret this? Is it small changes aren't enough? You need to have dramatic changes? Or is it the small changes that are being offered, the advice being given is the wrong advice, right? The question of, do you eat less or do you eat better? Do you exercise more or do you exercise better? That's not addressed in a trial like this. So it's easy to conclude small changes don't really work much. You need dramatic changes. or it's easy to conclude they're just giving the wrong advice. And of course, the other question that I always bring up is weight gain or weight loss really the best metric here? Or should we be looking at, waist circumference, body fat percentage, metabolic health markers, blood pressure, blood sugar, insulin, HDL, triglycerides, all those might be better markers than just weight gain or weight loss as well. Talking about healthy weight loss. But again, that wasn't measured in this trial. So the way I look at this though is I think it's clear we need to focus on eating better and exercising better and being more purposeful. And just reducing your calories is not a helpful approach if you don't focus on what you're eating, when you're eating, how you're eating it, what exercise you're doing, when you're doing it, how often you're doing it. Those are bigger questions, but it's a little more complicated advice, right? It's very easy to say, just eat less. It's very easy to say, just exercise more. But easy doesn't cut it. Easy doesn't help the individual usually. And then of course, there's the question of if you're losing weight, if you're losing fat mass and muscle mass, and then you just gain back some weight, are you gaining back the fat mass? So you're a net negative there, and not just returning to baseline. So concern about the cycle of weight loss. So that's why at Diet Doctor, the information we really like to try and help people get, and the path we want people to go down if they want to lose weight, is healthy weight loss, sustainable healthy weight loss, not by just reducing your calories, but eating better. So eating better usually will mean reducing your calories, but doing it in a way that you're getting adequate protein, you're getting adequate nutrition, you're not feeling hungry. It's something you can sustain long-term, and accompanied with getting adequate protein is making sure you're doing some sort of muscle building activity, some sort of physical activity, to help you maintain that lean muscle mass so that when you do lose weight, it's mostly fat mass and you're improving your metabolic health along the way. So that's what we really want to present here at Diet Doctor, to help people achieve that. So whether that is small changes or big incremental changes, I think a lot of that has to do with the person, the individual. I think it's important to offer both routes to the person, because some people want to jump into the deep end, right? And they want to go on a ketogenic diet and change everything. They're going to do fantastic with that. And some people are going to be so scared by that and so put off by that they just want to make small changes. So knowing who you are and having both options, that's why we offer ketogenic meals, ketogenic meal plans, ketogenic programs, and we offer liberal low carb and moderate low carbs. You could have, less than 100 net grams of carbs or less than 50 net grams of carbs, and with making sure you get enough protein, adequate protein, if not high protein on top of that, to really combine a powerful 1-2 punch. And people can do that with small incremental steps. But like I said, if you're the type that likes to go all in, then by all means, go all in and make big changes, because you're likely to see some impressive results when you do. Then the question is, does that have to be sustained? Because here's what's interesting. I think the diet or the lifestyle that gets you to a quick weight loss and good metabolic health changes doesn't have to be the lifestyle you lead forever. For some people, it is, and you do great with it. But for some people, they want to try something different, or they stop seeing success on it. And that's when it's time to mix it up. And that's what we're going to start building more of here at Diet Doctor. Not just higher protein, but more of this satiety per calorie kind of concept where when you're focusing on the right foods, you naturally eat less and can still enjoy your foods without eating diet food, and still enjoying fat, protein, and the right amount of carbohydrates for you in a way that works for you long-term for your metabolic health. So anyway, that was sort of my take home from these two studies. And I think it reflects, very differently on what we're doing here at Diet Doctor, not just focusing on reducing your calories, but focusing on eating better, making better choices in ways that you can sustain and enjoy that are good for your overall health. All right, hope that was helpful. If it was, click thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll see you next time here on Diet Doctor News on YouTube.